What up, words? Your boy Chuck Wick, aka Charles Brown, back again with another Talking Facts. But first, I want to ask y'all, you good? If you're good, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so you get notified on all the upcoming episodes. All right, man, Sopranos. Tony Soprano, one of the greatest fictional characters in history, on one of the best shows in the history of HBO and the entire world. HBO has put out more classic shows than, I want to say, almost any channel. Game of Thrones, Sopranos, Oz, The Wire. I can't imagine a better network than HBO for the history of just cinema, right? And I say all that to say, I went and watched on HBO Max the follow-up prequel to The Sopranos that you were supposed to be learning the back history of Tony Soprano and The Sopranos, right? I believe it's called The Saints of Newark. Something like that, right? I could be wrong. I'm a glutton for punishment because what I do is I go to IMDb. As I start watching something, I go to IMDb, not even halfway into what I'm watching, to see what people think of this. And that's my problem. I go and read the reviews. And sometimes it ruins it for me, right? These people don't do nothing but complain and bitch and whatever. So I go on IMDb, as I'm watching, I'm like 25 minutes in, and I go to see what the rating is. The rating is 6.5. I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? And I had already seen on Twitter what went wrong with the Sopranos reboot, prequel. So I didn't even read that. I'm like, I don't want to read that because that's going to have spoilers. Like, what went wrong? That's saying that's something that most people don't like it. I go start reading the reviews. 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. It's disjointed. It's all over the place. It's slow. It's boring. This shouldn't have been made. I can't believe T.H.E had anything to do with this. Why would he even involve himself? And it just went on and on. And 1 star, 3 star, 1 star, 3 star. Talking about how bad this movie was. And I can't believe, I was so excited when I saw that this movie was coming. I was so excited that his son was playing him. I was just so excited that they were revisiting this universe, right? So I was like, I'm not gonna let not one of these reviews ruin my experience. I'm going to watch this. I'm not gonna cut it off, because in the past I've cut off stuff. I've gotten halfway through, cut it off because of the reviews of IMDb. What's that show I was watching about the doctor who was, actually she wasn't a doctor, she was doing scams on people, insurance scams, where she would kick the old people out of their homes and force them into senior living, and then she would live in their homes and sell the homes right up from under them. I watched that. I started watching that, and I was like, "What? Something wrong with this." So I went to IMDb, and of course, they were murdering this movie. They were murdering, but rightfully so. They were right, because I got so irritated with it because it was so all over the place that I couldn't even watch it. I said, because the lady was making me so mad, right? She was making me so mad at what she was doing with these old people that I was physically getting like very freaking edgy. Like I was like, I want to fight this bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's a Netflix movie. So I said, I'm not watching no more. I'm skipping to the end to see what happened to her ass. Because in the reviews, they were like, what happens to her at the end is the only reason to watch this movie. Thankfully, whatever happens to her at the end, they wouldn't tell you. So I skipped to the end. I saw that they killed this bitch, right? After she got everything she wanted, which made no sense. The movie went all over the place. They got the Russian mafia. It just went ridiculous, right? So a lot of stuff didn't make no sense, and they were right. They were right. The movie was bad. So I was like, oh, damn, they saying this again. The Sopranos movie may be bad. They're like, what's the reason of the black race relations? That has nothing to do with the Sopranos. When you used to watch Sopranos, they rarely even had a black sub character. So why all this black stuff? And they were right. They were right. They were right. They were right. Why are we having all this subculture? And I get it at the time. This is what was going on. And they were right. But I said I'm still gonna watch it for myself. 2 hours. I watched it, and I want to say I didn't find it as bad as they were making it. I saw what they were trying to do when they tied in the black stuff, but this wasn't a Sopranos movie. As a regular movie, the black mobster with the Italian, this would never. Let's be honest. Now maybe there's this one-off where in this one world where this black guy is allowed to walk up in this mafia establishment more than one, like several times, and talk shit to these guys. And act like a real man with these guys. I just don't see that. Let's just start there with the believability that this black mobster can walk into this Italian establishment and go toe to toe and talk to these mobsters crazy like that. I don't see him getting in the door, no matter who he's rocking with in there. Let alone being able to bag this chick up under this guy's nose. Where did the conversation start? How did he approach this woman? Did he lurk around outside? She can barely speak English. You see him glance at her, and then the very next time you see him and her together, he's banging her in the bed. How did we get from that, where he just glanced, to he banging her? Right? Some of this stuff is written as if it's 2020. This is supposed to be the 60s and 70s. Matter of fact, I think when that happened, you had Frank Sinatra singing. Martin Luther King was still alive. Like, this had to be the 60s. 68, sometime like this. There's no way this guy is walking in that mobster club unchecked, unsupervised, sitting down, smoking a cigarette. I don't see none of that. So let's just start there. So I do understand what they're saying. It was heavily race relations, and a lot of them were like, he does something stupid. What they're talking about, what he does stupid, is he goes and does the drive-by on the mobsters that are in that later on in the movie. He goes and tries to kill him, and he kills damn near all of them except for the guy that he was working with. From the naked eye, if you're not in that life and you don't understand what he's going through, you're like, why would he go and shoot them? It makes no sense, but it does make sense because he hates them. And he felt like the guy was treating him like a porter. He said he treats me like a porter. A porter is someone who cleans up for you, cleans the bathroom, cleans your bathroom, right? And technically, he didn't treat him like a porter. He treated him better than a porter, right? He treated him better than a porter, but a porter nonetheless. He was acting like he was his employee, which he was. So it makes no sense for him to get mad at the end when you were his employee. You're the one that let him run all up and through the Bronx and Harlem and do all what he want to do, right? And you handed him the money. You're running the numbers. That's what was your job. But at some point, he grew to hate him, and he grew to hate his job, and he decided to take over on his own. No one made him do what he did. So it kind of looked to the naked eye, if you don't understand his pride, why he turned on them and decided to try to kill them all and take the money from them. I understand that. Did it make sense? No, but I can understand if you want to stretch it and say he went that route and did it, right? But end of the day, it could be looked at as a plot hole because they didn't manifest enough information to say why he all of a sudden flipped on this guy. Maybe there was some left on the cutting room floor, something. But it didn't make no sense in a way that he flipped on this guy like he did. Now, my problem isn't even with any of that. Even though they did interject too much race relations for this to be a Soprano movie. If you're making a movie about anybody else, if this movie was about the uncle, then great. Don't call it Sopranos, just make it a movie. Just make it a movie. Let people realize, oh, that's Tony Soprano. And like, don't make it about Tony Soprano because it was nothing. I think this kid that played Tony Soprano got, and I'm gonna be generous. I think the kid that played Tony Soprano got 20 minutes of screen time. I could be wrong. Maybe he got 30, but what did you learn about Tony Soprano that you needed to know? Nothing. We all knew he was a kid, right? Maybe they said he used to play football somewhere in one of them episodes. So that's all he really did on this show was talked about playing football. And then trying to get some beer from his uncle, and his uncle trying to not give him the beer. Tony Soprano did not one crime. He stole some speakers. He was never, this did not explain why Tony Soprano became a mobster. You didn't even see him do no gangster stuff. He stole some speakers and then broke the speakers and said he didn't want them because he was mad at his uncle. And then they played the music to the Sopranos at the end as if this is what you've been waiting for. I waited 2 hours to hear the song. I didn't like the way they portrayed this. The uncle was there. It showed how he hurt his back, but you don't need a whole movie for that. Right? You got the twin brothers, right? The father and his brother's in prison for killing some random mobster. There's mad random stuff in this movie that you either just have to eat or you have to rack your brain like, what is that? What are they talking about? Why did this happen? This guy brings some random girl off the boat from the other land, from the homeland, marries her, and then is abusing her. So his son is like, if you touch her again, what? Son kills his own father over this chick. Then he has an identical brother that's the same actor, Ray Liotta, in the prison. And he goes to see him out of nowhere. Now, in 2 seconds, this guy should have pieced together, why is my nephew here right when my brother's dead? He never came before. And now he needs to do a good deed to cleanse his soul. Something not right. He must have did something to my brother. And he kind of hints at it, but he doesn't make any other mention of, why are you here? You did something to my brother. Right? This movie's all over the place, and I'm going to say not in a good way. It doesn't have, like, this black mobster thing, he ends up being the so-called villain, and he lives at the end. He moved his family to a different, what was this like? What was this, reparations? Like, what was this about? This black guy is not in the show. Why is he in this movie? Was this to give it color? No pun intended. Like, you take away the name of Soprano from the thing and make it about the black guy then. But this ain't a Soprano, and I'm black. This is not a Soprano movie. There's too much black stuff in it to make it a Soprano movie. Sopranos is about the mobsters of that family and how Tony Soprano became the head of it. You didn't learn, what did they go? This must be a trilogy. They must got more movies to come. Because outside of this, if there's not 2 more movies, this didn't make no sense. They would have been better off making this a TV show. Having 10 episodes, right? 10 episodes, and we would have known, okay, this is going somewhere. But this ain't going nowhere. This went nowhere. Me and wifey watched this joint at the end. We was like, what did we just watch? It barely had anything about the Sopranos in it. You saw his wife. She was a teenager. She had about 4 lines. Right? 4 lines. Again, I didn't find it as bad as some people would. I wouldn't give it a 1 star. I would give this movie, just based on the cinematography and based on the acting, which was superb. The actresses and actors are amazing in this movie, right? So my score as a Sopranos movie, yes, is a 1 star. But as a movie, take off the name Sopranos and it's just a movie, I would give it like 4 or 5 out of 10. But still, it's horrible, right? 4 or 5 out of 10. Even if I gave it 5 out of 10, that's saying 5 stars out of 10 is still 50%. Still ain't good. But The fact of the matter is, this movie was supposed to be giving us all this insight. If you were going to do a Sopranos reboot, right, and you're going to give us, you should have started it where you ended at. It should have started it where his uncle died. We didn't need none of that stuff as him as a kid. None of it. It should have started with him as a teenager about to go into college, but choosing a life of crime because his uncle's murdered. That's where it should have started at. And if you did have the black mafia in it, it should have started with him finding him and killing him. And then move forward to how he became the leader of this whole family. And to the people we saw. We saw a couple of the mobsters from the show. It should have started with all of that. We didn't need any of these fictional people. Unless, like I said, you're going to have 2 more movies to back it up. Outside of that, this movie was a waste of time. And I'm going to leave it at that. I think this movie was 2 hours too long. This could have been a 30-second breakdown. 2 minutes tops. Because it was really nothing to learn. You let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to get out of here, man. I ain't got much else to say about the movie. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was that good. But let me know what you think in the comments. CLBMG.com. Go over there, check that out. Follow your boy on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. I will respond. And Clash Podcast on the way. I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.